Right, every now and then, once a month, I go to McDonald's for the kids. Maybe for me as well, okay? And I know what some of you think, okay? But it's just how it is, right? Setting it up, because the story requires me to come clean about the fact that I go to McDonald's from time to time. Now, there's a drive-through, right? I was there 3 weeks ago. I was driving through, like you normally do. I'm on my own, by the way. I went to pick up some drive-through McDonald's for my children. So drive up to the speaker. The inanimate speaker, just sitting there. And I pull up and I slow down. Got my window down, waiting for them to say, "Good afternoon, sir," or "Good morning, sir," or "How's it going today? Welcome to McDonald's." And this female voice, I think it's female, booms out of the speaker. They're old, aren't they, those speakers? They're all old, and that seem to be made of tin. This voice boomed out, and it said, "Welcome to McDonald's, you be on that day?" And I said, hello. I said, hello. And they said, "Welcome to McDonald's, you on that day?" And I said, can I order? They said, "Welcome to McDonald's, you on that day?" And I said, is that a question? Is that a question? I said, "Is that a question?" The voice said, "Sir?" I said, "Yes." "Welcome to McDonald's, you on that day?" I said, "I'm not being funny." I said, "I'm not being funny. What are you saying?" I said, what are you saying? Is that a question? "When you on that day?" I said, "I don't know what that means." I said, "I don't know what you're asking me. There's no words I've ever heard before. No words I've heard before." So then the voice goes, "Forget it." I said, Forget what? I just came for the chicken nuggets. I said, "Can I order 2 chicken nugget meals?" I'm trying to change the subject at this stage. I've got such a tight grip on my steering wheel. "Just 2 chicken nugget meals, please." "Drink, huh? Sprite, please. Sprite for both of them. Sprite. Apple slices, extra fries. Extra fries, extra fries, extra fries, extra fries." Just sweating, speed of sweat. Going down the... $18.46, window number 2, please. Okay, I'm going. So I drove round, right? And then you see them, don't you? You see them. And there was a lady. I use that term loosely. There was a lady, and she looked at me as if to say, "You fucking English, fucking freak." It's looking at me as if to say, "Why don't you understand what I'm saying?" So I gave her the card, my card back. "Y'all have a good day, window number 3. I was like, "Okay, well." Off I went to window number 3, got my McDonald's, and off I went. Okay. Yesterday, I went back 3 weeks. 3 weeks later, I went back. I didn't give it a second thought. I was just going back to McDonald's 3 weeks later to do the little treat for my kids, So off I drive in, and then as I come up to the speaker, I'm like, "Oh God, I'm remembering last time now." Hopefully it's a different person. So wound my window down, and this voice goes, "Welcome to McDonald's, you remember that day?" I was like, "Oh no, not this again." I said, "Not this again." I said, "I can't do it." I said, "I can't do it." I said, I'm not this thing. I can't do this again. I can't do this again. So I said, "2 McChickens." I just changed it. So 2 McChickens nugget meals, please. I think she remembered me. So she just said, "Yeah." So we just did the transaction. And I drove round to the window, and I said, I got there. She took my card, and I said, "Excuse me." She said, "Yes." I said, "What are you saying? Because I've come here." So "What are you saying?" I said, I don't know what you're saying. And I don't mean to be rude. I am but a British person at the drive-thru. And she said, "I'm asking if you're going to use mobile today." And I said, I thought to myself, does anyone have an idea now that I've said it? And you can see my lips moving. "Will you be using mobile today?" will you? I said, what? I said, what? What does that mean? She said, will you be using, like that, will you be using the mobile app today? And I'm thinking, say that! Say it like that then, through the fucking speaker that hasn't been serviced since 1971. Doesn't mean anything to me.